Howdy folks, my name's Christian and welcome to Bullish on Farming. We got a gloomy day, October 18th. Just moved our gilts into a fresh paddock. 70 days of rest in here and we got about 65 to 70% grass green. And what has grown in is pretty decent. And this is the first year that we were running pigs in this forest, so it's really kind of an experiment to see how this forest responds, but so far so good. You can see a pig just taking down a weed right there. And these gilts now got to be close to 250 pounds. For those of you who followed us from the beginning, we had 8 gilts. We're now down to 5. And competition for feed's a bit smaller. Although we had 3 feeders between the 8 and that always worked out well. We could add a 4th because I did notice there was always that last one who was a bit smaller. But in my experience, even when you have those large 2-ton feeders with pigs, there's still always the smaller ones at the bottom of the pecking order. And so that used to be this one, but it seemed to step right up. And although it's a bit smaller than the others, you know, since those other 2 gilts just left 2 weeks ago or so, maybe 3 weeks ago, these 5, they're packing on the pounds quite nicely, but they were already at about 220 when the other girls left. So when they get up to that finishing weight, they just kind of have more of that huskier anatomy when they walk. And I see them every day, so it's hard for me to really notice the gains, although they're happening. The girls that we're sending out from here on out are going to be at least 250 plus. They're all going to be approaching 6 months at the end of this month. I think that's correct, because these girls we got in May. And so May, June, July, August, September, October. Yes, the end of October, they'll be 6 months. And they probably, were born late April. So we're pretty much there, folks. And I've outlined that we run them on a hog grower, which is pretty much corn, barley, soy oil, supplemented with a scratch grain, which is pretty much corn and barley with soy in it. And we ferment that for 3 days, which gives us about 25% increase on our volume of grain. And the fermenting process brings in the nice probiotics that are good gut enzymes for the pigs. We've been rolling diatomaceous earth in with their feed along the way as well as a proactive deworming measure. And we haven't had any problems with our pigs with regards to worms or noticing them getting ill or sick. We did notice one passing a worm at about 3 months, but then I just did a oregano oil treatment in their feed and on the water nipples, and hadn't seen, heard, or observed anything about it since. So we also bring out market produce to these girls from our market garden, and they were getting about 4 15-liter totes a day of squash, lettuces, Swiss chard, carrots, beets, melons, everything that we were producing. And so these girls get a very diverse diet, and they're raised in the forest, so you know that they're eating the grubs beneath the soil. And we're getting into the wet days now, so they're going to be rooting quite a bit. Excited also about the work they've been doing on the trees and just entering this paddock. We're looking for them to kind of bite and bully this stuff and break it all to the ground and get rid of the brush, everything that they can reach at least. And that's what they do. In the previous paddocks, we observed that quite nicely, especially because we knew what it was like before. Now walking through here, and I have some trees that I've taken down, so it looks a bit busy in there, but it's much clearer than it once was. Now it's not clearing it like goats would, but everything at pig level, we're happy to have them work on and clear out this bush. And year after year, it'll get clearer and clearer. And eventually we'll have more of those pretty stand-up tree aesthetic like the silvopastures. with less brush and more sunlight getting down to the ground floor. Because right now, you know, these trees are kind of an obstacle. Although this paddock grew in well, we had some ones that were weaker, which is why I took down trees over there. But this one does very well. And this is about 2 weeks away from 70 days rest. And it's quite open. And this is what we're looking more for in each of our paddocks. We're not being too picky, but the idea is to have plenty of area for grazing and foraging with open spaces up top to allow that grass to grow in. But along the way, the pigs will eat all the weeds too and mulch it into the soil. We can observe what the pigs have done just passing through here one time this year. So because of the fencing system we have, you can see everything outside of where the pigs were. It's pretty weed infested, and I'm gonna have some steers to come through to graze this grass for a few days. We got 5 steers, and it'll probably be 2 to 3 days in here. We'll see. But if we want to double our pig production next year, we got this bush right here. Gonna line this up and create this as a nice laneway straight down. You can drive your quad if you ever need to be bringing feed or anything. And it's also a nice walkway if people want to come tour and see the pigs. And well, we can see that there's a bunch of busyness in there that the pigs would love to go to work on. Because when you look in here, and then you look into the paddock, you could see the grooming and management that the animals have done with 2-week work periods. And then they move on. Now that there's 5 gilts in here, I might bring it to 3 weeks because our last pigs go December 1st and we got about 6 weeks left. So about 3 weeks in this paddock and 3 weeks in that one should do us fine till they're all gone. And if you haven't seen the video talking about our loading pen, I suggest you check that out. It's all the way back in that corner and it's pretty neat. Last time we loaded 2 gilts, had her in the setup, trailer backed up, and she was in the trailer in less than 2 minutes. Me and another guy working with pig boards, not really pushing her, but narrowing the space and sweeping her towards the trailer. Worked like a charm. And we work with these pigs every single day, so they're used to me coming in and scratching their bellies. And so when we got to move them or load them, it's not a whole stressful event. And that's the key to working with your animals daily. Handling them on your farm until the day they have to leave. With kindness and respect, you want to keep your operations humble and calm. And I know not everyone likes to do that, but that's fine. That's just the way we like to run animals here, and it's worth it for us. I mean, nothing's worse than trying to load pigs on a trailer and then them squealing for an hour and loading stressed animals. That's not really how you want your meat going off either. And so, hadn't had a video on the pigs in a bit, so I thought I'd make one. And we pick up weaners and finish them off here in the forest. And we're thinking of maybe getting a sow if we want to continue producing and anything beyond the amount of that a litter can offer us. That will justify the cost of keeping mums around and reproducing year after year. So yeah, folks. I think I'm going to cap this one off here. Taking it day by day, the regenerative way. Thanks for stopping by, and God bless you all. See you on the next one.